Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to the first preview of the season. Sorry it's a little bit late. Shorty was at the footy last night. Ideally, I would get this preview out when the teams sort of drop. Just check those teams out on a Thursday night and get stuck into it. So, wasn't to be. But this video we'll be talking about my trades, captain options. I've got a list of players too that I want to talk about. Where is it in my little notepad? So a few guys, what to do with Stewart, moving him on. You've probably already done that, but I'll give you my thoughts. And Laird, J.Kelly, Bruin, again, obviously disappointing. Fuck that kick late in the game, had me pulling my hair out. And Rampe and even Zeeble. So, yeah, like I said, I was at the footy last night. Cats are in a bit of strife. Gee, it took them 3 quarters to get going. Even earlier in the game, we were up, but I was saying to my mate Tyson, I was like, scoreboard looks okay, but I do not feel like we're playing that well. Like, it felt like hard work, a bit like round one. Boy, when we clicked into gear, Shorty was up and about. Jazza Cameron snapped that goal, and I was out of my seat. But then, probably 10 minutes later, those parochial Carlton fans were just roaring, and I was just sitting there once again at the MCG with very little to say. It's a tough pill to swallow, particularly coming off a flag. You haven't suffered a loss for a while, and then you cop 2 back-to-back. It's just tough. You're at both of them. But anyway, it is what it is. We've had some glorious times over the journey as a Cats fan, and came up on the wrong end, or the wrong side of both of those ones. But yeah, it was pretty good atmosphere though. Still, like, Thursday night footy, I love it. But gee, going to it's a struggle. I had work this morning. Got back at it was nearly 1 by the time we got back. 12:30 probably in the end. But gee whiz, that alarm going off this morning was just brutal. Didn't rate it at all. Was pretty slow. Out of the bed was Shorty, and just sat and got to be very careful with your words here. I sat in the shower for some time, just sitting there. Well, I wasn't sitting. I was just standing, just letting that hot water just go all over me. I was like, fuck. Could just stay here for a solid hour, but Shorty had to go to work. And, this is one thing that just got me too. So, frustrating game, obviously. You barrack your heart out, and then you don't come home with the chockies. And then something unusual that Shorty does. Normally, we drive up, but because I came straight from work, it was a public transport operation. And, so many nuffies on the train. Gee, I ran into that many Carlton supporters. Crazy. And then got back to Lara Station. That's where my car was parked. I'm sort of over the loss by now. It was frustrating, but hey. Yeah, we're just having a bit of fun with it now. And we're just waiting to cross the road as the other train sort of goes. And I just hear, mainly Geelong supporters, as you'd imagine, but I just hear one Carlton bloke just whistling their theme song. Da, 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 da. I can't whistle, so I can't impersonate. Da, 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 and I'm like, oh, bro. And he wasn't even trying to piss people off. He was just having a grand old time, just sort of under his breath. Like, da, 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 da. I was like, fucking hell. Get this clown out of my life. Very, very disappointing stuff. Oh, saw Caden McDonald too. That was cool. I was just walking around and I was like, oh, Kados, what's going on, mate? Had a bit of a chat. It's good stuff. So, he thought the Cats were going to win, and I was like, mate, I'm right there with you. Egg on our faces. So hopefully his D's can get up tonight. I'm sure he'll be barracking hard for that one. But that's enough waffle for Shorty. Let's get into these teams, and I'll briefly go through the teams, but then get into what you guys really want to know, and that's in terms of trades and whatnot. Jack Bowes, he's definitely one to keep an eye on, particularly if he plays half-back. That first quarter was fantastic from Bowes. Don't think there was too much. Laurie goes, I don't know if too many people had him. The big one was Liam Jones, obviously, and to see him named, and hopefully there's nothing saucy with a late change that would really, really hurt. But Jack Bytel, I just wonder if some might have him, and that's just a bit of a blow. But Will Phillips back out of the team. And then, the Sunday teams were pretty kind to us as well. There wasn't anything too much to report. So, after a chaotic first week, obviously we knew about J.Kelly. He's someone I'll talk about. It wasn't too bad from a team's point of view. Now, as you can see, I went Nick Dacos for Tom Stewart after much consideration. It was out of Ridley, Ryan, Young, and Dacos. Had a few questions about Rioli and a couple other guys. In the end, that's where I put it to. I've only done one trade this week. So I'm giving Jones another chance. I'm giving Cunnington another chance. I gave Bruin, regretfully, another chance. He'll be out next week. Even Asai Wanganeen-Malira, another chance. So with all of that, I kind of forward planned and sort of had a look at, if I want to bring in Goulden and Horne-Francis and, whoever it is. I thought I've probably got to maximise a bit of coin. So I ruled Luke Ryan out. I know he's done it before. He's pretty solid, but I don't feel like he was the clear choice. And for an extra 20, 30K, which doesn't sound much, but it does come in handy, I ruled him out. Basically, it came down to Dacos and Young. I think I'm a bit of PTSD on Ridley, the way he hurt me the other year. I still don't think he's got a great ceiling. I still see him averaging mid-90s. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Nothing to sneeze at, mid-90s. But in the end, I went with Dacos. I was tossing and turning. Midway through the week, I was probably hating Young. And then I just thought, you know what? You love Nick Dacos. You talked him up all pre-season. He looked so good. Yeah, he'll get tagged. But who really tags these days? Sydney will do it. Hawthorn will do it. Will any other teams? I don't know. Maybe. But who's to say Hayden Young? I don't know if he doesn't have the same rebound. He's a different type of scorer to Dacos. In the end, that's the way I've landed. But I'd love to hear your thoughts out there on who you went with. In terms of some other topics, Rory Laird. If you've traded him out, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're killing me out there. Look. Let me walk you through the premise of this great game we play. Ideally, you have a squad of players with 11 or 12 or 10 premiums to start your squad. And at some stage throughout the season, you want to have 22 premiums. And what's the best mix of 22 premiums? Ideally, your defence is made up of the top 6 to 8. It's pretty unrealistic to have the absolute top 6 defenders. Ideally, your midfield 8 is somewhere ranking in the top 8 to 10. And that's where Rory Laird will be. He will be a top 5, maybe top 3 scorer. So you're wasting your time trading him out. Holy shit, look at him. 127, 116. I mean, obviously those were more in his backline days, those hundreds and stuff. This guy's a jet. Okay, he stunk it up. The only thing I would say, unless there is an injury niggle that you've heard about, let me know. But yeah, it's disappointing, but just swallow that pill and move on with your life. Don't trade him out. Holy moly. We all make mistakes. Gosh, this bloke's one of the best scorers in the game. You're just going to want him back at some stage. Shit. Anyway, Shorty's rant is over. But yeah, don't trade him unless you are desperately in need of coin, which surely there's better ways. The main rule is you don't trade out a premium unless you've got serious concerns that they're no longer a premium. And one bad week in really tough conditions, not enough for me. Anyways, let's take a look at another midfielder in J.Kelly, because that was another brutal blow. There were plenty of people out there that copped the Jones, Stewart, Laird as skipper, and J.Kelly combination, which just about has you given up on the game. I understand this game is brutal. In terms of J.Kelly, probably what even hurts more is that he was going on track for a pretty good score. And I'm sure some people might have even had the C on him or a VC on him just to try their luck. Now, look, in terms of Kelly, he's awkwardly priced in the way that you are a little bit off those top premiums. And I think if you're going to go down, like if you have no cash, you'd probably only entertain Luke Davies-Uniacke or Cornelio and swing him forward at some stage. Don't mind that. I still have faith in Jack Steele, but he didn't exactly light the world on fire that first week. Other than that, if you can't or you don't like those options, you're just going to have to find a way to get all the way up to maybe a Jack McRae or a Marcus Bontempelli, which is pretty hard. It's pretty hard to find 50, 60, 70k out of nowhere at this stage of the year. So I kind of like the Cornelio option because you're getting a premium, you're getting a keeper, like he's a forward line keeper, just swing him forward whenever it suits. So that's the way I'd be going about that one. Horne-Francis and Goulden. Goulden looks like he's here to stay, looks like a gun. I really want to get him in my team. Hands up high. That was a mistake going Cunnington over him. But again, it is tough to just work it out with the exact price points. If that happened, I would have had to give somewhere else. It is what it is. But I will say, like, what's to say Horn Francis doesn't come out and score 68 this week, and maybe someone who was a bit quieter, like, say, Wanganeen Malira for my team. What's to say the roles don't reverse this week and Malira scores 122, Horn Francis has a quiet one? We shouldn't always put so much value and weight on one round. The round one scores shouldn't always hold that much weight. We do get carried away. I like to give guys at least 2 weeks unless I'm absolutely panicking, hence just one trade for me this week. So I think with Horn Francis, I think he'll be a very, very popular selection next week. He already is this week, and I'd say I'd very likely trade him in as well. But at this stage, I just want to see him go around again. And I want to give Ben Cunnington another shot. You know, like I said with Laird, we're all entitled to one poor game. There were some concerns with roll, etc. But I like to give a 2-game sample size as opposed to 1. Very strong chance that Horn Francis and Goulden is in my forward line come the end of this week. But that's the way I'm approaching it. Bruin we've touched on, frustrating, doesn't look up to the level. Why is he playing out on a wing? Don't know. Either play him inside mid or play him in the VFL. It's Jordan Clark all over again. Why are you letting these guys die on a wing? It's so frustrating. But he did have some moments and opportunities and didn't exactly put his best foot forward either. Thought he fumbled a lot, particularly late in the game when the heat was on. Disappointing, nonetheless. Dane Rampe, really want to talk about him now. On my live session, I sort of talked this one down, but I had no idea that he was priced so cheap. I don't know whether I just in my head was like, oh yeah, Rampe's a bloke that just always averages between 70 and 85 and has had good years in the past. No, he's fucking played 22 games and somehow averaged 60. Puts him at a real good price. Look, 150, I would say that's one out of the box. I don't think he'll score that ever again in his life. Maybe he played a slightly more attacking role. Don't know. Didn't see the game. But unless you really wanted to open up some cash and some quick cash, then I understand. But, I mean, has something changed? I haven't studied the Swans hard enough to... I mean, average 78 and then 60 the last 2 years. The bloke's 33, basically. Why would it change now? Unless there's been a major role change that I've missed. Happy to be called out on that one, but I don't see him averaging premium numbers. But you will get a nice little cash injection. But you'll only get one real cash rise because that 150 will only boost him once because it's a rolling 3 games. So we'll only get it, really, if he scored a 150 in round 2 and like 79 in round 1, you get the boost twice, if that sort of makes sense. So I'm not going with him, but at that price, I get it, I understand. But personally, I'm not interested. And then we can probably just round it out with Jack Zeeble in terms of the players I wanted to talk about. And again, I'd like to see it one more time. I don't think Aaron Hall came into the team, which is probably something I've got to think about for one of my draft leagues. And I've scrolled past it. There it is. No Aaron Hall. So, yeah, the role looked to be good. I still don't think he'll be back to those days he was a couple of years ago when we all fell in love with him. But 22 kicks, 4 handballs, taking kick-ins, 102, fantastic. That's great. If he does it again, then I'll have something to think about. He'll be in that mix with Horn Francis and Goulden. So it's good to have options. He's worth a watch. I just prefer to give him a second game to sample. And if anyone's wondering about Fife, I didn't get too many questions about him because I feel like most people, just when you score that and you play forward, I feel like the answer is there. You got to turf him. And I would be, to be honest. I know I'm saying give him 2 games and maybe give Fife another chance, but I wasn't about his role in the preseason, and off a game like that, I'm still well off him. It was a shocker. It's hard up there. It's hard playing forward. And Nat Fife obviously had a really, really tough day. So I'd personally be thinking Zeeble or Horn Francis or Goulden, depending how much cash you're throwing around. That could be what you do. Now, I don't think there's anything else to really cover. I will talk about my VC and captain options. I think my VC will definitely be in tonight's game. I'm tossing and turning between Dunkley and Oliver. And then in terms of who I would put the C on, I mean, I feel like Bontempelli's still in really, really good form. And realistically, there's not a stack of captain options out there. Against the Saints, like, they don't mind to tag, so I probably would really like... I'd really like to see a good game tonight from whichever guy that I run with, because I don't really want to see a tag. I mean, no Bytel, no Windhager. Maybe there won't be a tag. So, honestly, I'm leading towards Oliver, the tried and true. Dunkley does have the capability to go huge, but so does Clayton Oliver. Dunkley might get the edge because he's a bit more point of difference. But yeah, that's sort of the lens I'm looking at it. And probably Bontempelli as skipper. So, yes, plenty to talk about, and I've probably missed a couple of bits and pieces, but hey, we don't want to be dragging this video on for too long, do we? It's probably already nearly 20 minutes, so Shorty's going to wrap it up there. Thanks again for tuning in. Good luck this week. Fingers crossed there are no injuries to our premiums or anyone for that matter, and we have a better week in Supercoach land. I'll chat to you soon. Cheers.